tanks getting up in your face on the tabletop? Well, today we're making these tank traps, and that's coming right up. Welcome back, and it is great to have you here. So, there are two basic types of tank traps. There are these ones, which are a fairly permanent looking emplacement, probably used at forts or permanent military bases and that sort of thing. And then there are these ones, which are more temporary, they can be set up quickly, and I'm pretty sure they were used for defending beaches and that sort of thing. So today, we're making the latter. And hey, if this is your first time here, here's what's up. If you want to improve your wargaming, make your tabletop battles more epic, and give your wargaming budget more power, then be sure to smash the subscribe button below and ding the bell. That way you won't miss anything. Unfortunately, due to not being able to get a challenger this month for a battle report, we're doing this terrain tutorial instead, but we are still going to have some gaming awesomeness this month, and we're doing a live stream of either some Dawn of War or some Battlefleet Gothic or something this weekend. So check out our Facebook page if you want to catch that. But without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so this one's really simple. All that you're going to need is some ice block sticks, paddle pop sticks, lollipop sticks, whatever they're called in your country. You're going to want a sharp knife, some side cutters is a must, super glue, paintbrushes, paint, and some gap filler as well if you're going to be doing a rust effect, or if you just want to have them smooth, metallic-y, or even a painted surface looking like painted metal, you'll want some sandpaper to sand them down and make them nice and flat. So the first step is you need to get your sticks. So go to your local grocery store, buy a 20 pack of whatever they are, and then give them to your kids and get them to eat them because it's stupid hot and it's a great way to keep them hydrated. Alternatively, if you don't have kids, you could just eat them all yourself. I mean, it's the middle of summer, why not? So, once you've got all your sticks, you're going to start taking them and you're going to find roughly the middle and you're just going to score a line across it like so. Because we're cutting across the grain, this knife's not going to be able to cut through it easily. That's where the side cutters come in. So you've now marked your line that you can line up with the blade of the side cutters quite easily. Hold both ends because when it breaks it's going to send one of them flying. And cut them in half like that. So do that to a half dozen of them. Okay, so once you've got them cut in half, we need to nip the ends off them, and you do that the same as you cut them in half, except you don't have to mark them this time because it's pretty clear where you need to clip. And you just do that to all of them. Okay, now you got the ends clipped off, you just want to sort them into two piles so one pile has twice as many as the other. Like so. So, put your pile that has twice as many aside for a second. So, these ones, we're going to split in half down the middle. So you want a sharp knife in your blade so you have plenty of control because there's nothing more dangerous than a blunt knife. And you just hold them up on the end like this. Find the center, roughly, and you're just going to press down like so, and the wood will split along the grain. And you want to try to avoid having that happen, but if that does happen, you can throw that bit away and cut out another one. So you just do that to the other ones in your pile, in your small pile. We might be able to use that one after all. The next step is you need to just whittle off the ends so that they all have a nice flat, continuous surface. Like so. And you do that to the other half sticks, or quarter sticks at this point. Okay, and once you've done that, you will have a nice pile of kindling. Just kidding. But as you saw at the end there, it is actually much easier to whittle them down when you hold them against a hard surface and just strike the knife down towards the hard surface. Much easier than trying to hold it and pulling it away from yourself. So now that we've got that pile, we want to take this pile, and on the end here where they got crushed while cutting the tips off, we need to just clean that up. So you're going to hold them like so on the table, and you are going to push your knife down, knocking the end off. Like so, and you get a nice clean surface. There you go. Now you've got a bigger pile of kindling. Again, I'm kidding again. Okay, so now basically what we're going to do with all of these is we take our small ones and we're going to glue them to the face of our big ones like so, to give us sort of a reinforced girder looking thing. But before we do that, as you can see here, in order to get this thing to sit flat and stable, we need it to have some flat edges on it, so that it looks like it's kind of digging into the ground a bit. If we were to put this on a base, it would make it look a bit more realistic as well. But we need to make those cuts to it before we glue it together, because otherwise we'll break the super glue very, very easily. So basically, as you saw in the picture just there, we want to take 2 of every 3 and cut a small angle into the end of it. And we're just going to cut a shallow angle in it, like that. We'll mark it first, I suppose. Boom. And then we take our side cutters and cut it. And that one's shorter, so we'll actually do it in this one. And you want it to be at about 30 degrees. And you also want to clean up the cut as well. Okay, then we also need to take some of our shorter sticks, and we need for each tank trap one of our shorter sticks to have an angle cut on it. So since I'm making 2 here, I'm going to take 2 of them. And this one, you should be able to just use your knife and just cut it off like so. So now we have our 2 piles that will each make a tank trap. And I just looked at my example again, and we actually need to take another one of these sticks and put a angle in it as well. We're going to start gluing these things down. So I'm going to start by taking one of my angled small pieces and the flat, non-angled bigger piece. Hold it in there like so, so I can have a good look. And then at the other end, I just want to mark roughly where the overhang is, so I can remove that overhang. There we go. These 2 pieces are now matched. So to join them together, we're simply going to take some super glue, apply it to the big one first, and then we want to put some super glue along the flat edge of the smaller piece, trying to avoid gluing our fingers to it, as that is not ideal. We want to glue the wood together, not our fingers. Although, I mean, if you want to glue your fingers to go right ahead. We just take our piece in like so, press it on there, try to get it as centered as possible, and then we hold it until it sets, and when it's set, it should look something like this. And we just set that aside to set, and we're going to do the other ones. For our angled big piece and our non-angled small piece, you want to sit the big piece down towards you so that the angle is moving away from you like so. So if the angled bit is on your left, the shorter edge should be closer to you and the bigger edge should be further away from you. This is important. So we're going to take our small piece and we're going to line it up in the center, up there, and then down here, and we are going to just mark off the end like we did with the last one so that we can trim it to size. Then we check to make sure it fits in there nicely, and it does. So now we bring the super glue in and glue it the same way we did with the first one. And we set that one aside. Okay, so for the last one, we want to put the big piece down in front of us in the same configuration with the angled cut on our left and the short edge towards us, long edge away from us. And we now bring in our small piece with the angle cut in it, sit it down, line it up at the end, like so, and again, we just mark it off, check to make sure that it lines up correctly. Cool. Then we glue it. Okay, and now you will have the 3 pieces of your tank trap. Make sure you give him a good 10 minutes to set hard for the next bit. Okay, so now we're going to start sticking them together to make our crossy tank trappy thing. So you're going to take the 2 that have the cut taken out of the big piece. You're going to turn one of them upside down so that you now have 2 flat faces, and they're going to kind of cross like this. So we're just going to put some super glue in the middle of one, like so, and in the middle of the other, like so. Give it a moment to go tacky so that when it sticks together it holds nice and strong. And then when you bring them together, you want to make it so that the angles you cut into the 2 big bits form an imaginary line across between the 2, sort of like this. So that you're left with something that looks like this. And then we just need to let that set for a moment. This is where having a production line where you had 5 or 6 of these things going at once would be great, because by the time you get to the end of the last one that you're gluing together, the first one will be set and ready to move on to the next stage. Okay, so I made a slight boo-boo when I was cutting the angles into the big bit. So this big bit here with the small bit that does not have the angle cut into it, it's supposed to only have the corner knocked off. So where we now have this extra bit protruding down, we're just going to take that off with the side cutters. So that we have something like this, but you should probably do that extra cut back before we glue everything together. Okay, now that that's set, we're going to take in this bit, and we want to put the end that has the angle in it down on the table. Then we bring our cross in, find the side that has the small bit with the angle cut in it on it, because those 2 angles are so that it sits flat. So we're going to bring that in like so, and then bring this in there like so that we can approximate where we want to put our glue. And we want the glue into the little cross here, and a little past halfway up here. And then we just bring them in and stick them together. And if we've done it right, we should have enough contact points that it can now hold itself up, except I've glued it to my thumb by the looks of it. I mean, feel free to glue it to your thumb, but it's not recommended. There we go. So, that's now standing up by itself. You can now put it aside to set while you assemble the rest of the tank traps that you're building. And BAM! We now have our tank traps all glued together. And at this point, you could sand them down a bit and you could just paint them metallic and it'd be fine. But we're going to go one step extra and make them look like they've been outdoors for a little bit, so we're going to rust the crap out of them. So to create our rust texture, we're going to get some acrylic gap filler and we're going to apply it to a palette. Now that I'm thinking about it, just before we apply the rust, we do need to make it look like these things are welded together a bit. So we're going to get a small, cheap, crummy brush, and we're going to wet it a bit, and then get some filler on it, like so. And then wherever 2 bits of the wood meet, we're just going to put some filler along that edge. And this will allow us to build up a bit of a weld type texture. Then you'll end up with something that just has filler in all of those little gaps to puff it out, make it look like it's been welded together. And then you're going to get the rest of your filler and you want to thin it down quite a bit, like so, and then just brush it over the rest of it. And then once it's set a bit, we are going to bring in our brush with a bit more filler that is less watered down on it. And we're just going to kind of stipple the surface of it by pushing the brush in. And this will help create a sort of a rough surface texture, which will emulate rust quite nicely. So now you just have to do that to all of them. Okay, so now that they are all filled in and stippled, they are looking pretty mad. All we need to do now is let them dry and base coat them, and they're ready for painting. Bam! And the filler's all dry, and I have base coated them. I used a spray can because it's quicker, to be quite frank. So now we are going to paint them up, and the first layer we're going to put down is some lead belchers, just because it's nice dark metallic color. So we're just going to get a bit of it there, put it on a piece of foam or a palette or something. Get some water just to thin it down a bit. And then you're just going to brush it all over. Okay, so that puts the base of metallic down, and now we need to, well, rust it up. So for that, we've got some brown, and we're just going to put it down right where the metallic was and mix it in a bit. And then we're just going to brush it off so that it's a heavy dry brush, I suppose. And we're just going to take it, oop, that one's still quite a bit wet. So we'll go with this one. And we're just going to lightly brush it over. Real light, just like so, just to give them a bit of a browny kind of earthy tinge to them. And then I decided that it probably needs a bit of red in there as well. So we're just going to get a bit of red, put it on the palette, take a lot of it off, and I do mean a lot. This one needs to be a fairly good dry brush. Fairly light, I should say. And then, to finish them off, we're going to get a dark wash. This is just Nuln Oil. But Agrax Earthshade or any dark black or brown wash will do the trick quite nicely. Then we're just going to wash the entire thing. Bam, and there you go. They're all come up and they look nice and still a bit metallic, but they definitely have some nice weathering to them. This one just needs fixing because the glue came a bit loose, but that's easy enough to fix. So let's just wrap this up. So there you go. That's how you can make some really nice looking tank traps out of popsicle sticks. And I think they came out pretty well. The paint job could have probably been a bit better. I probably should have mixed the red in with the brown rather than layering it over the top, as it kind of looks a little bit like blood rather than rust. But that's something I will work on into the future. And if you have a suggestion for how to paint rust, please leave it down below, because as you saw, I'm not the best at painting rust, and suggestions are more than welcome. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up so we know that you like it, so we can keep making stuff that you like. And if you have any suggestions for anything wargaming related you'd love us to cover, chuck it in the comment section below as well, and we will get to it. And as always, if you want to improve your wargaming, make your tabletop battles more epic, and give your wargaming budget more power, then be sure to smash the crosshair and ding the bell. You'll subscribe and I'll be able to share with you more battle reports, terrain tutorials, and strategies to make your wargaming experience more epic. And I'll see you next time.